All right. Okay. So, man, there's just so much to this. Um, and so, really, I'm here with Rachel, and her goal is to better understand domain and range in these conics questions. And so, what I'm going to do is first we're going to have to identify what type of shape this is. Then we're going to have to write it in a form that makes sense to us. Then we're going to graph it, and from there, I'll help you with the domain and range. Okay. So we've got two things that are being squared, but one of them is negative. So that tells me that this is a hyperbola. Are you good with that? We want to write our hyperbola as like x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So that's what we want it to look like. In order to do that, we're going to do this process called completing the square. So the first step in completing the square is to arrange your x terms together and then create a little space for a constant that we're going to add in. Here's where things get super challenging. So we're going to factor, well, actually, let's just start with this. I'll write it as, that's going to be a positive 4y squared in there now. You see that? And then minus 24. And then we'll leave a space, but we're not going to do anything with it yet. And then I moved my 15 over there. So far, so good. Now, this one's ready to be completed, but this one's not. So I'm just going to rewrite this one. And then we're going to factor out a 4. And now we're ready to complete the square. So half a 10, 5 squared. You might be thinking, like, why didn't you say half a negative 10? Well, because I knew I was going to square it. But in theory, yes, you're right. And so this one's going to be plus 9. Now hold on a second. Let me go back to black real quick. Our 15 was here. No. So I got to add my 25. Why did I put 19? That's supposed to be a 9. Hold on. But the thing is, Rachel, I didn't add a 9. I added a negative 36. That's right. So is that even going to be enough? It is. All right, we're good. It's going to be 4 over there. So what is this? That's x, right? Scared me. X minus 5 squared minus, don't worry about the 4 yet. We're going to worry about that here in a second. Minus 4 times equals 4. Okay? It almost looks like this. What's the difference, Rachel? We don't have a denominator, and ours is equal to 4. So we can fix all of that by dividing everything by 4. And I think I'm going to have to go over here next, okay? So now we have x minus 5 squared over 4. Minus, what's 4 divided by 4? So that's gone. And now we know a is 2 and b is 1. So to find c, you do a squared plus b squared is c squared. So c squared is 5. So c is radical 5. Okay? So now I'm just going to have just enough room, I think. It's going to open up in the x direction, right? Because the x is positive. It's centered at right 5 up 3. So I just ballpark it. That's the center. The slope of the asymptotes are plus and minus 1/2, right? Yeah. So I don't know. That's just kind of flat. That's supposed to be dotted, people. Okay? So since it's opening up in the x, these are going to be pretty skinny hyperbolas. The foci a radical 5 to the right of the center. So the foci would be, yeah, this is so tricky. So I have to write this number in here. This is 5 comma 3. So this one must be, nope, 5 plus radical 5 comma 3. And then this one would be 5 minus, no undo button on this version. 5 minus radical 5 comma 3. Okay. I don't even think I'm asking you for the foci on the test, am I?
No, just domain.
Yeah, it's like I've had enough of that with the quizzes. Okay, just the domain and range. So where was I? Back to my Jamboard. All right. So now about the domain and range. What about what are the oh, is that the vertice or that's the foci, right? Where's the vertice at?
The vertices are at.
Okay, sorry, I had a little brain fart. So now we're going to start graphing these things. The vertices is 2 to the left and 2 to the right of the center. So one of the vertices is going to be 5 minus 2, so that's 3 comma 3. And the other one is going to be 5 plus 2, and so that's 7 comma 3. And then our hyperbolas are like this. Okay? So now to your question, which I'm sorry it took so long to answer, but we now understand how challenging this is. The domain and range is everything in this picture except for that zone right there.
Oh.
So there's nothing inside of that, nothing above it, nothing inside of it. So I think this is going to go up forever and it's going to go down forever. So that's the y's. The y's goes with range. So our range, and I'll go ahead and just write this, goes from negative infinity to positive infinity. But you could write all reals. You can write that at many, many different ways. In calculus, you'll start writing it like that. So I'm just showing you that because we'll be there eventually. Now, your domain, for your domain, I don't know, one good way for you to write this right now would be that x has to be less than 3, less than or equal to 3, or x has to be greater than or equal to 7.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Now, in calculus, you would write that as x is a member of this set. It can go from negative infinity up to and included 3, so that you write it like that. Or it can be as small as 5 and as big as infinity. But I don't need you to know that now, but that's what it'll be later in your life. Okay? Does that help?
Yes.
Boom! Boom!